If you guys are looking to buy safe, cheap, and fast coins, don't forget to check out buyfifacoins.com. They have coins for all different types of consoles at really good prices. Don't forget also to use Fangs for your 5% discount, link in the description down below.
Hey guys, how's it going? It is Fangs, and welcome to the first time I've done a storytime video in probably forever. But I wanted to bring this. You guys have seen the title, so you're obviously like, oh my god, she thought she was gonna die, so what does that exactly mean? This is going to be a little bit of like a birth story of how my whole birth went down with Brody. I know a lot of people are interested to know like what's happening with this. By the way, in the background, you're gonna see me just doing drafts. I'm gonna try to do high-rated drafts on here. I mean, I'm not paying attention 100%, so I might miss something. I'm sure you're gonna let me know. And for all the people who've told me I look knackered and all that stuff in my comments, yeah, I had a baby like 10 days ago and I'm not getting any sleep, so I most definitely am. Not to mention I'm going through like other things that come with it, like hormonal different things where I have baby blues and a little anxious and a little depressed, and so just give me a break, okay? Give me a break. I will try to get back to normal, but for now I'm just trying to survive, okay? I'm just trying to survive. But so I ended up on Wednesday night, which would have been the 16th. The night before that, actually, I had a lot of different things going on. Like, I felt like a lot of pain in my back, and I didn't feel like I could get up off the couch. I was just like, man, I am so tired right now, and I don't want to get off the couch. And so I did that, and I thought about the next day. I had been what they, you know, some people might not understand this, but I had been 3 centimeters dilated for probably a good 2 weeks, 3.5, almost 4 for a good 2 weeks, which is not supposed to, that's like supposed to happen when you're actually like going into labor. Like with Rook, it was 1 for like a week, and then I went into labor with him, and then everything else kind of happened from there. I was looking for this Grimaldo in my last video that I did. I hate that he just now pops up. So it was just like weird. My doctor was like, this is weird, you should go into labor anytime. So for 2 weeks, I thought I should go into labor at any time, and it never happened. So finally, I have my 38-week doctor's appointment. And I go to it that morning, and in my mind, I kind of felt like I was supposed to stream that day, and I was like, I'm not gonna be streaming that day. This is not gonna happen because there is no way that I'm probably not going to, I'm gonna go with you. There's no way that I'm probably not going to be in labor today. I just feel it. So I went into it, and I wasn't feeling really contractions, which you usually feel in the front, and it's like tightening. I wasn't feeling anything like that, so I didn't expect too much. And then she checked me, and she was like, oh my gosh, you're like almost completely a face, like there's almost no cervix there, and you're like a 4.5. Like, I don't know what to do with you right now. And I'm like, well, you know, my biggest thing for me is I don't want to not have an epidural. That's the biggest thing for me. I don't want to not have an epidural. I'm not doing this naturally. I don't want to feel this at all. And she's like, well, it's hard, but maybe we can like set a date for like a certain time. And I was like, what if I'm in Alito and I don't make it back in time, and there's just all this back and forth? We hook me up to a monitor, I get my contractions looked at and his heart rate and everything, and I'm not having contractions. It's like 20 minutes in, and she's just like, I don't even know like how you're sitting here and you're not in active labor, like you don't feel anything. And I'm like, no, I don't feel anything. So we made this choice to do something that sounds really weird, but it's called swiping the membranes. And if you can only imagine, they just kind of go and like swirl around and swipe some membranes. And she said, now with this, it could 50% chance like work, or it could not work. And so we don't know exactly, but you could go into labor in the next 2 hours, or you could go into labor like by Monday. And if it doesn't happen by Monday, then it didn't work, and we're gonna have to induce the labor anyway. And I'm like, oh my God. So things are getting real at this point. Things are getting real. And I decided to go to my mother-in-law's house. We can't really see each other. We're social distancing, so we just sat in the backyard kind of away from each other. Look at that team this season. Holy crap. And so we take our time there, and we just kind of try to see if anything happens. And of course, I wonder if we could go right there. Of course, nothing does happen for probably like 3 hours that we sat there kind of in the backyard. And so we decided to take Rook home, and we're like, you know what? If I get one contraction, that's when I'm supposed to go in. So we take Rook home. On the way to taking Rook home, of course, on my way out to further away from where I live, or from where the hospital is, where I live, on our way out there, I have a contraction. I'm like, ooh, like I could feel it, it's tightening. I was like, we're gonna have to go. So we kind of take our time. We get Rook home. I don't know why we take our time. We get Rook home, we get him bathed, and then we get him over to Will's parents' house. And for me, I don't know if like first time parents or moms ever deal with this, but I was super, super worried about how I was going to feel dropping Rook off, knowing this is the last time he's going to be my like only child. And I've had this for like the last 2 years almost. He's about to be 2. So this is what I'm used to. And it ended up not being that bad because he hadn't seen Will's parents in so long that he was so happy to be there. And it made me so happy because he had not seen his grandparents. And so that ended up making everything work out with that. So we dropped him off, and I had a couple more contractions on the way to the hospital. I had to go into triage at the hospital that we were at. Oh no, my controller's dying. Let me get my controller plugged in here. I had to go into triage there. When you first walk in, they had masks, and they were checking your temperatures, and they asked you all these questions, and they wouldn't let my husband come into the triage part because I wasn't admitted to the hospital. So I had to go in alone, which was like scary, to say the least. It was scary at the very beginning. And so I went in there alone, and they hooked me up to some machines, and they kind of checked the area, and they're like, oh, you're 5 centimeters now, you're showing contractions, let's go ahead and let's check you into the hospital because you're gonna have this baby in the next, like 24 hours probably. And I'm like, oh my god, so this is it, it's on. I'm at the hospital. I got here in time for the epidural. And so they let Will come in at that point. He has to be checked for everything. And we get to go to a labor room because there's like a labor room and a recovery room and a triage. There's a lot of different things the way it works. So we go there and we're chilling. And it's just so weird to me that we're just sitting there by ourselves because when I had Rook, I literally had so many people in and out of the room, like friends, family. It was exciting. We were playing music, and you can tell the difference in the vlog if you watch the vlog for it. And it's just like a different feel. And here it was just me and him, and it was kind of eerie. Like it was not bad. It was a little peaceful, but a little bit eerie and just kind of different than what we were used to. And so we were just sitting there like hanging out. I get my epidural the first time around. And this is where things get a little bit crazy. So I get the epidural and I'm super happy about it. I'm like, yeah, like I start to feel it in my left leg and then I start to feel it in my right leg. And I'm like, man, this is great. Like I don't feel anything. I don't have to worry about anything. Like I'm going to have this baby. It's going to be so much easier. Because whenever I had my first son, it was so easy. Let me see if anything moves this over here. And so I'm like super, super stoked about this. I think I can move this actually here. Yes, perfect. Super, super excited about this. And then something bad happens pretty much. Something terrible happens. And as I'm sitting there, we're just watching The Walking Dead. I start to notice that I can't feel my hands. And when you have an epidural, it goes in your spine. They stick something in your spine, like this big needle that I can't see. They don't show it to you. And it goes in there and it's supposed to just numb the lower half of your body, like your stomach and the lower half of your body. Well, I started to notice that like my hands started going numb and I was like, okay, that's weird, but I'm not going to really try to focus on it too much. I'm just going to like try to focus on like staying happy and all this stuff. And it turns out that it started moving up to like my chest area and I started noticing like, well, I can't breathe. Like I felt like I couldn't breathe and I was like, there's something wrong. Like I cannot breathe right now. And so we call the doctor and we're like, she's feeling like she can't breathe. And as like not the doctor, the nurse, as the nurses are coming in and out, they're like, oh, what's this, this, and this. And I started getting this ringing in my ears. As you can see, by the way, we get a 191 right here with me not fully paying attention. That's one of the better ones I've had in a while. So we're back. So my ears start ringing and she's trying to tell me like, maybe there's like a certain position you need to be in. She's trying to move my bed around. And I'm like, I just feel really weird. Like I can barely breathe. My ears are ringing. I don't feel like myself whatsoever. And then I start noticing that my eyes start like dropping and I start hunching forward and she's, oh my God, I should have got the freaking icon. That's what I was trying to go for right there. I start hunching forward and I look down at my hands and I remember looking at my arms and it looked like I was like a burn patient or something. Like my hands were so red. Everything was so red. And I looked up and everything was red. And I was like, I can't see. Like I cannot see right now. In that moment, genuinely like panic, started thinking like, I'm gonna die. Like this is the moment that I'm gonna die. There's something wrong. And they're trying to get the anesthesiologist in there. And I'm just like having a panic attack at this point. And they're like, your vitals seem fine. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I can't breathe. I can't see. I'm ringing in my ears like, this is the moment. I'm gonna have like an embolism or something. I'm gonna die. I'm losing my mind. And so they get, at the point, for some reason, they had 2 different anesthesiologists. They get the one anesthesiologist in there, a guy, and he's like, I think that this is too high. So this other one has somehow placed my epidural too high, and it's going up my body, and it shouldn't be. It should be going down. So I'm freaking out. I'm like, he's trying to tell me all these different things of what he's gonna do to change it, and I'm like, if you don't get this thing out of me right now, I think I'm gonna pass out. And in my mind, I thought, then I'm gonna have to have an emergency C-section. I'm not gonna remember anything. It's gonna be, you know, on top of everything that went really wrong in my pregnancy, because I had a really rough pregnancy. This is gonna be crazy. So he finally pulls the epidural out of my back, and he's like, oh, that is not how it's supposed to look, and it's supposed to go in straight, and mine was like all curved into, I don't know what this lady was doing. I have no idea, but he's like, this isn't gonna hurt. I'm gonna put another epidural in, and I'm sitting here just like still freaking out, like, oh my god, my life is flashing before my eyes. The moment he took it out, the redness and everything in my eyes went away. Like, it was the craziest thing ever. I don't know what happened. I don't know where it was going, but it was terrifying. And so he put another one in, and I'm thinking, you know, like, okay, thank God, like, at least we've got this guy. He's put another one in. I'm gonna be fine. And I lay back. I'm supposed to, like, once I get it in, I'm supposed to be able to, like, eat Jello and, like, lay there and wait until, like, to see if I keep getting progressed in the labor, which I wasn't. I wasn't progressing. So since I wasn't, they decided to give me something called Pitocin, which makes you, like, continue on with it. I guess the epidural made it stop with all the craziness that was happening. So I get that put in. And once that gets put in, that does kick in some contractions. But unfortunately, your girl was feeling those contractions. So the epidural is supposed to numb, like, your whole stomach, your cho-cha, everything. Didn't do that for me. Did not do that for me. I could feel it in the middle of my stomach, and I kept telling them, I'd keep ringing them. I'm like, I can feel the cramps. It feels like really bad cramps happening right now. And it wasn't as bad at first, but they just continued on, and it would be like 45 seconds where I'd have to be like just sitting there sweating, like 1, 2, 3, and I would count them. And Will was like not knowing what to do, just holding my hand, or like he'd try to like touch me, and I'd be like, get away from me. Just get away from me. One of those people you see on TV that are like crazy about it. And I was just freaking out the whole time this is happening. And every time they come in, they put me with more, and they're like, I can't really move you a certain way. This may be a hot spot where we can't really do anything to make you be able to feel it. They try to pump fentanyl in me, which is that thing that usually kills people. It freaked me out because it kills people when it's laced in drugs. It was just pure chaos as they were trying to make this happen, and I'm losing it. Like, I've never screamed the F word so many times in my life, and I'm just feeling every single one of these is just like your stomach is just cramping together, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this. And I'm telling this nurse, like, you have to do something. Like, you'll have to do something right now. And for some reason, I don't know if, like, at that moment they decided, like, oh, we have to really do something because she's about to lose it. But this labor and delivery nurse came in where they kept saying I was stuck at a 7. You have to get to a 10. I was stuck at a 7. She just came in 15 minutes after I was a 7, and she just, like, kind of, you know, did her thing, and she was like, let me see if you can push. And she asked me to push, and I was like, I can't push. And she was like, yes, you can. And I'm like, okay. And I did, and she was like, oh my God. And she was like, okay, you need to stop. You have to wait for your OB to get here. And I'm like, oh my God. And so I'm just sitting there feeling these contractions. My OB gets in there pretty quickly, thankfully. I should have took a Guero right there. And she comes in, and they're like, okay, well, what we're gonna need to do is we're gonna need to push. And I'm dying. I'm feeling these contractions, which I never wanted to feel in my entire life. And I'm trying to push, and they're like, push down, and I'm doing everything. And, I swear, I kid you not, they're like, if you push hard enough, you will not feel these contractions anymore. So I'm like, yeah! And within like 6 pushes, literally 5 minutes. It took me 30 minutes with my last son. Some people it takes 2 hours. 5 minutes. He was out. Like, I think I was in that much pain. He was out. And I know some people are going to say, oh, that's because, like, it's the second time and you can cough and that happens. No. It was still, things still happened that stitches were needed for. So that is not the case. I just somehow needed to make that happen. So he comes out, and, like, the biggest relief of my life. For one, they set him on my chest for the golden hour, and he came out so fast that he had a lot of stuff in his lungs. They kept having to suction his mouth, which did not happen with Rook that I can remember. They only did that like once or twice, and he was fine. But this one, they're like trying to get all this stuff out of his mouth, and I'm just like so happy because, I mean, genuinely, I thought at one point I was gonna die through it. We get him in there, and it's like they take this nice nurse, because she knows we don't have family in there. She's taking pictures of us, which was really, really nice of her. And it was finally over, but guys, my God, was that one of the biggest situations of my entire life. Does that tell me that I'll never have kids again? Yes, we stayed there for about an hour and a half. They actually let us have the golden hour for an hour and a half. He ended up weighing 8 pounds 5 ounces, which Rook was 8'11". He was 20.5 inches, which Rook was 20 even. And so they were very close in their size. And it was just crazy. Like, he was awesome. It was awesome. I'm glad that it was over, because that was like one of the most stressful things. Is that going to be -3 if he comes in? Dang it. That 97 would have been nice. But one of the scariest experiences of my entire life, one of those ones where you just feel like, how will I ever come back from this? I have no idea. It was wild, to say the least. It was wild. I never want to do it again. I think I will probably never have another kid again. If I could have had my tubes tied at that moment, I would have had it done, because it just was every bit about the pregnancy. The whole point of COVID-19, which COVID-19 didn't really change much in the hospital. All it really did was everyone was wearing masks and gloves and stuff, and so I couldn't really see what my nurses looked like. I knew what my OB looked like anyway, but besides that, it didn't really change much. Besides, my family couldn't be there. That was a little bit hard. What COVID-19 really changed is whenever I got home. So we stayed in the hospital. They said we could stay for an extra day if we wanted, but they have a nursery normally where they'll take the baby at night and like mom and dad can get some sleep, and that was closed due to COVID-19. So we weren't allowed to have him in the nursery, and we were like, you know what, there's no point in being here and spending extra money. So we went home, and last time I went home, I had like my mom, I had Will's mom after that. Like, I had a lot of people to help me with everything that was happening. You get this thing that happens after you have kids where like your hormones just drop, and some people are just fine. They have no problem. And this girl, not so much. I've had a very rough, like 11 days, however long it's been. Very sad, mostly because I just feel lonely. Woo! I had to take a second right there. And what it does is it just makes like it just makes your hormones just crazy, pretty much. And so I'm seeing my doctor on Thursday at least to talk to her about it, but it's just me and Will. No one's really held the baby since he's been born, which is like stressful because they can't, because of COVID-19, grandparents, everything. It's just been a lot. And so that's where COVID-19 has killed me, because like they say that it takes a village to raise a child, and it really does. With Rook, it really did, and I'm not getting that. And I had this huge breakdown of like, oh my god, like Rook's gonna be so upset about this. Why would I take away our perfect family that we had and add another kid? And is Rook gonna like be mad at me? And of course he's not. He's acting completely normal. But it's been a learning curve for me. So I know that's a lot to explain, but this is where it's made it really, really hard with COVID-19 and like everything that it's thrown at me. And I'm just tired of it. I just wish it would go away. I wish people would stop getting infected. I wish people would stop dying. I feel terrible for those people, and I wish that life would just go back to normal so that it would make this just a little bit easier. Because I was gonna probably have this anyway, but it just makes it not easy, if that makes sense. And it makes me an emotional wreck, which I'm not normally. Most of the times I'm a happy person, and I don't know why, but this does this to me. I did it with Rook too. I had baby blues even with Rook. It only lasted a couple weeks. This one, I feel like it's gonna last forever. I have no help. Usually I had help at night and day, and it's just been stress, guys. It's been a lot of stress. So if you notice that I look knackered or I look tired or something in a video, you know why, because I'm just going through a lot. So I hope that I'm able to make the greatest content still, and I know it's going to come back to that, but for now, that is going to be it for this video here today. That's kind of my birth story during COVID-19. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I probably missed some stuff, but I tried to focus on the draft while I was doing it as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hit the thumbs up button if you're having a great day. I'd appreciate that, and until next time, see you guys later.